Hi there. Welcome to my website today. I wrote a column, as you'll see on this site, about elections and influence in elections. The fact that the Russians supposedly tried to influence our election in 2016. And I thought it was a little ironic. We've been influencing other elections in countries all over the world for the past 50 years. So sure, the Russians, the Chinese, I'm sure they all give it a shot. But I can tell you, as Louisiana's former insurance commissioner and Secretary of State, particularly as Secretary of State, I followed the elections very closely because I was the chief elections officer. And in that capacity, I heard all the time about voter fraud taking place, how you could infiltrate and break into the voting machines. I never saw that happen. There would be some local efforts to get votes, or say someone would give someone $10 to buy them a vote, maybe do some hauling to the polls. But as far as the integrity of the machines, I just never saw anything like that. So I would say that in the 2016 election, there was no direct influence, and that there should be some kind of a backup, as you'll see in my column. I think a paper, we go back to first century, not 21st century, but first century techniques of using paper ballots as a check and balance. And that's what we need to do. And I explain that in the column. So the question is, were our elections influenced in some way? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Not by the Russians, not by the Chinese, but a significant effort by the FBI to involve themselves in the elections. And what we're finding is, in these new reports that have come out this week, a culture of corruption at the highest levels of the Justice Department. We now have the top 5 people in the Justice Department have been resigned or fired. They're all under investigation. James Comey, Andrew McCabe, go right down the list to the chief counsel, all under investigation for lying, for a variety of reasons that directly relate to it trying to influence the election. And of course, the very worst is this guy, Peter Strzok, and Strzok is an FBI agent who's not just some average agent out there now. He's the top criminal investigator for the FBI, the #1 guy at the top. And let me just read to you. Maybe you've heard it. If you haven't seen this, I want to read it to you again. He's texting back and forth with his girlfriend, who is also chief counsel for the FBI. These are 2 of the highest people you can get in the FBI. They're carrying on an affair. They exchange on servers or on their phones that are owned by the FBI over 74,000 emails that relate to many things that have nothing to do with the FBI, nothing to do with any investigation. And this is chilling. This is right down chilling. I'm concerned about Bernie Madoff, and I'm concerned about people not paying their taxes and being investigated and prosecuted. But this is one of the worst. This impugns the basic concept of what democracy is all about. This keeps us from being a third world country to see that the election's integrity is protected. And it's not protected, and it raises a lot of serious issues about what's right and wrong in this country, and as I say, the culture of corruption, the actual slime that takes place within the FBI. This is this guy, Peter Strzok, and his girlfriend, Lisa Page. Again, she's the top FBI lawyer. And she says, and she's borderline hysterical. She's screaming and hollering about this in her texts. And she texts her lover. She says, he's talking about candidate Donald Trump. And in the text, she says, he's not ever going to become president, right? And Strzok says, no, he won't. We'll stop it. Let me say that again. This is the top criminal investigator of the FBI who's been involved in the Russian probe, investigating Hillary Clinton, and also investigating Donald Trump. And he says, is Donald Trump going to be president? No, he won't. We'll stop it. We'll stop it. How's he going to stop it? What is he going to do? Well, obviously, it relates to investigations and playing it up to where the voters will turn away. And that is chilling. That is anti-democratic. That's outright criminal. If there's a criminal involved in this investigation, the focus ought to be in this guy's Strzok. And it goes to the whole culture of corruption that is taking place in this country. People are losing their confidence. For those of you who live in Louisiana, we've been following a terrible story. The U.S. attorney for years down in New Orleans also oversaw a culture of corruption to where one of the worst offices, Justice Department offices, U.S. Attorney's offices in the country was out of the New Orleans area. Most of the key players have resigned under a cloud of suspicion. Many have lost their right to practice in certain courts in the state. The U.S. attorney, when he was district attorney down in New Orleans, was basically run out of office. And now he's being investigated for passing drugs, for being a drug mule. We got the U.S. attorney that ran the New Orleans office for years, who's now a drug mule. That's the accusation made against him. And so it fills right into this whole culture of corruption where people just don't have confidence in their government and certainly don't have confidence in the judicial system. So I hope you're following what's going on in terms of the FBI and the Justice Department. There's a real stench, not a stain, there's a stench, a real stench going on right there. And this needs to be cleaned up, because if it's not, then Americans are going to lose confidence in the whole flow of democracy in this country. And that's not right. We're better than that. We're better than that. We're better than Andrew McCabe and Comey and this guy, Peter Strzok, and the DA, and the U.S. Attorney down in New Orleans, Eddie Jordan. We're better people than that, and we hope it stops. And that's the comment I want to make to you today. Take care, and I'll see you again next week.